Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to episode 1, game week 1 of the new FPL series with me, who, quite frankly, has never played it before. I've never played FPL before. The only time I've ever done anything similar was in the last Euros. I made a fantasy team on match day 1 and then forgot about it. That's as close as I've ever came to playing FPL. But this year, you're going to watch the progression from this week, a shit show, 2 bonus points, God knows for what. Oh my God, right, I'm not bothering with all of that. What the fuck does captaining someone mean? To hopefully, come game week 38, an FPL genius racking up 100+ points every single week. We're at the end of game week 1. There's still one match to play, but I've got no Leicester Tottenham players in my team. So this is what's happened in game week 1, my first team. Let's jump straight into it. I'm going to walk you through the players I decided to pick because, well, nothing really. I've not looked at any tutorials. I've not read any posts. I've not been on Twitter about it. I'm not watching any YouTubers. I'm not cheating. This is genuine, just gut instinct calls for my team. Now, the first problem we ran into was after seeing other people's teams, I realized that I should have changed the formation. I didn't even pick a format. It just gave me 4-4-2. It gave me 4-4-2, and I don't know if that can ever be changed. Am I a 4-4-2 king forever now? But anyway, I'm a 4-4-2 king. I had the choice to pick 2 goalkeepers. Again, I don't know nothing. So my 2 goalkeepers were David Raya from Arsenal. I thought that's a solid pick. Arsenal have one of the best defenses in the league. David Raya is up there with the best goalkeepers in the league. That seems like a pretty obvious pick. And on the bench, why not go for the best goalkeeper in the league, Alisson Becker? So they were my 2 goalkeepers, with Raya starting in this game week. And Raya ended up picking up 8 points, which again, I don't know if that's good. So he got points for minutes played, a clean sheet, four points for a clean sheet, right? So that was good. He made 3 saves, that's 1 point, and for some reason he got a bonus point. God knows why. Maybe just because he's Spanish. Maybe we're getting points for being Spanish. And Alisson on my bench got 1 less point with 7. So it was a good idea to start Raya. Then we head into the defense, and again, it should have been 3 defenders. I didn't realize this until I'd completely secured my team in for the game week. Again, I don't know how defenders get points. I started off with a Saliba, and he ended up picking up 6 points. Is that good for a defender? Probably not. But then I realized, okay, they're like a lot. I know a lot. I'm not just dumb. I have heard people speak about that. I promise I'm not just dumb. I've heard a lot of people speak about FPL and they pick like Trent and things like that. So I assumed, right, it's also good for defenders if they can contribute towards getting some goals. So that contributed to my next 2 defenders, which was Trent Alexander-Arnold. And he ended up picking up 8 points. And he has a star next to him. I don't know what that means. It means that he got into the team of the week. Right, okay, we'll look at that in a bit. We'll see what we could have cooked up earlier. Oh my God, right, I'm not bothering with all of that. What the hell is that? Right, so we have Saliba, Trent. My next defender was Gvardiol, because the form that he had last season, at the back end of that season, picking up a fair few goals, a couple of assists, I think, as well. I thought Gvardiol might just cook again this season. I thought he was a good pick, and he got 4 points for a clean sheet and 2 points for 90 minutes. So, and then maybe the worst pick for this week, I picked Kwanzaa, because I was pretty confident in Liverpool getting a clean sheet, and that's about it, to be honest with you. And I thought Kwanzaa would start. Turns out he did start and then got hooked at 45 minutes, right? So the back 5, Raya gets 8, Trent gets 8, Saliba gets 6, Kwanzaa gets 1, and Gvardiol gets 6. That's a defense and a half, I have to tell you. And Kwanzaa is up for substitution this week, but you're not going to find that out just yet. But Kwanzaa is a nominee for substitution for game week 2. Then we head into the midfield. Originally, in my midfield, I didn't have this player, but something was telling me that he was going to pick up a good few points on the first game of the season, and that was Alejandro Garnucci. Alejandro Garnacho picked up 4 points, so my hunch was not great. He got an assist for Man United's one and only goal, but he did miss an open net to get a few more points. Now, don't get me wrong. Seeing Man United players miss open nets, I'll gobble those up all day, right? I'll watch those clips multiple times. But Man United were already going to win the game, and it would have helped if Garnacho didn't miss the open net. So that's kind of annoying. Next up, Anthony Gordon. Now, a little part of me added him in because Liverpool have been sort of linked with him in the summer. They were playing against Southampton at home. I felt like it was a pretty easy fixture for him to pick up a few points, and he got 3. So we're gonna jump to Yankuba Minta from Brighton. Now, this guy, I'm telling you now, this guy is going to cook all season, apart from next week because he's injured. So he is up for substitution in game week 2. But apart from that, I think he'll be in my team regularly because I can see this guy picking up double figures goals and assists combined this season. And I think he's a good pick. And then, again, I had a hunch feeling about this guy. Maybe it wasn't the best time to pick him because of the fixture. But Emil Smith-Rowe made up the last midfielder, and he cooked up a healthy 3 points once again, simply because he showed up and he got clean sheet. Why did Emil Smith-Rowe get a clean sheet point? Now, I am realising that Emil Smith-Rowe hasn't played any football in the past 18 months. I had a vision that Emil Smith-Rowe in that Fulham side is going to have a bit of a renaissance, is going to get his career back on track, but maybe I shouldn't have backed him, away at Old Trafford under the lights with his first start since about 2006. I don't know if that was the best choice, to be honest with you. And then we head into the 2 strikers. Should have been 3. How do I get 3 strikers? Someone please tell me. I think this was pretty obvious. I think most people probably decided to go with at least 2 of these. Now, I was a bit hesitant to pick Haaland simply because he has been sort of tarnished with the not showing up in big games. And I think first game away at Stamford Bridge very much was in contention for having a bit of a flop performance. And considering I think he completed around 3 passes in the entire game, it almost occurred. But he picked up a goal and got 4 points for that. And it was you see the goal? 2 bonus points, God knows for what, and he showed up for the 90 minutes, so he gets those points. So I'm pretty happy with that. 7 points for Haaland. Could have been higher, but, away at Stamford Bridge to get 7 points from a guy that doesn't show up against the big 6, I'll take it. And last but not least, my captain, the guy I decided to captain. What the fuck does captaining someone mean? My final striker, my final player was Alexander Isak, who ended up picking up 10 points for me, which was not great after I found out that captaining someone doubles their points, which I'm sure you know, considering you've clicked on an FPL video. I'm sure you figured that out already. So only getting 5 points doubled to 10 probably wasn't a smart move. On my bench, the players that didn't make it into the team and apparently don't contribute towards any of the points for that week. It's just kind of sad, really, just looking at points that you could have got. Here's what you could have won. So Alisson picked up 7. I went for a Kyle Walker-Peters. I was struggling. I was running out of my budget at this point and decided to go with a Southampton fullback. And I also went for Fabio Carvalho, back in a former Liverpool boy. He's playing his football on the south coast. It's not the south coast at all. It's in the middle of London. It quite literally couldn't be any less of a coast. And he only picked up 1 point. So he can rot on my bench, I guess, for the rest of the season. Hopefully didn't miss too many points on the bench. So overall, for game week 1, my first go at FPL with 0 training. We picked up 60 points. Now, I don't know if that's any good. Considering the highest was 122 points, that makes me quite sad. But the average was 50 points. So we're above average. Now we're going to look at the team of the week, which I assume is all of the players that picked up the most points. And did I get any of these players? No. I mean, who's picking Veltman? So now we're going to go back to my team and go back to what we're going to do for next week. Now, I know one thing. You get to stack substitutions. So if I didn't make a sub this week, I can make 2 next week. I'm not going to do that, so that's irrelevant. So the 3 players that are up for substitution are on the chopping blocks, can get back in the changing rooms and have a good hard look at themselves in the mirror for picking up 1 point. Jarell Quansah, he is the first on the chopping block. Jarell Quansah is probably going to go, but he's on the list of probably going to go. Next up it's Minter, because I think he's injured and I think he probably won't play next, which makes it even worse for Jarell Quansah, because there's a good chance that he gets substituted over someone that might not actually play. And last but not least on the chopping block is Fabio Carvalho. Although the storylines of him coming back to Anfield and scoring against us are pretty enticing, I don't know whether or not it's going to happen. But he could just sit on my bench for later usage. So I'm going to leave this episode there with the 3 players on the chopping block. You guys can let me know down in the comments which one of those should be cut from the team, should be never selected again, and quite frankly, should look at themselves in the mirror for getting substituted at half-time for Ibu Konate because he was having one of his worst games I've ever seen him play, right? You guys can decide. Thank you guys very much for watching. Make sure to subscribe, give it a like, give me all of the advice in the comments, and I'll see you next week.